Welcome to On the Frontline, the Military Rec Show, where we spotlight the innovators, dedicated professionals, and trailblazers shaping the future of military recreation. Hosted by John Prue, a respected MWR leader with nearly 40 years of experience, each episode explores the people, programs, and partnerships that boost morale, foster meaningful connections, and enrich the lives of service members, veterans, and military families worldwide. In this episode, we're joined by Stefan Drafahl and Edith Thompson from Joint Base Charleston to explore how outdoor recreation is transforming the military experience. From adventure programming and life skills education to powerful partnerships with local parks and recreation agencies, discover how these innovative programs build resilience, strengthen community connections, and inspire service members to embrace the outdoors. This is On the Frontline, powered by the DPRS Media Network. Let's dive in.
All right, it is 13:30 on Tuesday, 16 June 2026, and you are on the front line. My name is John Prue. As the host of this weekly podcast focused on armed forces or military recreation, we talk to professionals in the industry who are in some way making a difference in the quality of life of our military and their families. For all of you out there, you might be a morale, welfare, and recreation professional or MWR professional who directly supports quality of life for our military and families each and every day. Maybe you are or have been in the military and a user of MWR programs and services at some point, and we thank you for your service. Perhaps you're from a business or organization which directly supports or wants to support our armed forces recreation professionals around the globe. You just might be a public parks and recreation professional curious about that thing called military recreation and what it's all about. Or perhaps you don't fit into any of those categories and you just happen to tune in. Either way, welcome to On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show. Okay, what a weekend in sports this past weekend. I had to reflect because I was literally exhausted yesterday, I think. You had World Cup games starting all across the country. So cool. Really cool stuff happening on social media with some of the players from other countries just super excited about our culture and our fast food and Walmart and all sorts of cool places around there. So that was pretty neat. We had the NBA Finals. If you're a New York Knicks fan, congratulations. They pulled it off. And obviously, the Stanley Cup Finals were played. And so, if you're a Carolina fan, congratulations on winning the Stanley Cup. And then we had this UFC event at the White House. Kind of falls in the category of sports, I guess. But what a spectacle that was. And no matter what your politics are really doesn't matter. It was a pretty cool event that celebrated a really neat event in kind of our culture from the get-go. Fighting in some form, whether it was boxing or other things, has been a long tradition in our country. So coming back and doing this at the White House um, was pretty crazy and just tied in a weekend of sports. Not to mention Major League Baseball, the WNBA. Like I said, I was exhausted, but what a weekend of sports that was. Okay, anyways, it is our 24th episode here on the front line, and wow, when Craig LeBlanc, our CEO and founder of DPRS Media, asked me to do a podcast last December and said, "Hey, let's do one on military recreation." I said, yeah, I'm all in. Then he dropped the bomb and said, hey, let's do it every week on Tuesday. So it's been crazy. It's been busy, but it's been great with all these great conversations. And we have another one today. We are going to talk to Stefan Drafahl and Edith Thompson from Joint Base Charleston and Charleston Air Force Base in South Carolina. We're going to talk about the amazing stuff they're doing in the outdoor recreation arena. And Edie was also featured in NRPA's new Skill Builder learning module, Serving Those Who Serve 10 Collaborative Ideas. And that was based on our partnership with the county parks in that area. Anyways, we've got a great show once again. As you know, we are part of an amazing media company called Daily Parks and Rec Show, or DPRS. DPRS Media exists to honor the parks and recreation industry, reflecting on the stories, highlighting the careers, and celebrating the real pros out there doing the essential work in our communities. And yes, that includes our military communities. I want to give a shout out to our producer today, Jovi. She's back there working, pulling up graphics, working on transitions, basically keeping me in check, and that can be a chore sometimes. So in advance, Jovi, thank you for what you're doing. I also want to thank our founder of DPRS Media, Craig LeBlanc, as mentioned, for allowing us this opportunity to have this weekly podcast focused solely on military recreation and the great work being done out there around the world. Just a side note, our episodes are being loaded. We do some post-production with them, being loaded on our YouTube channel for DPRS. The On the Frontline has a playlist. And if you have not subscribed to DPRS on YouTube, please do so. We've got a really big push on that. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I think we have a couple hundred to go. But that's going to give us some ability to do some live events on YouTube at some point. So we're really trying to get there. So if you have subscribed, pass it on to a friend and encourage them. If you haven't, go on to YouTube, look up Daily Parks and Rec Show and subscribe to it. That would do us a lot of good. And then last plug is we are on Spotify. Audio versions of these are now on Spotify, and they're getting loaded up pretty quickly. So this one should be up within a week, if not sooner. And so another way to consume your podcast is through Spotify. So super excited of all the things that are going on today and with DPRS Media. Today's show sponsor is Outdoor Link. If you want to turn on your entire city with the swipe of a finger on an app, this is what Outdoor Link does. Outdoor Link builds smart cities connecting parks, lights, splash pads, fountains, scoreboards, bathroom door locks, or anything really powered by electricity into a simple app on your phone, tablet, or desktop that can be controlled from any location 24/7, 365 days a year. If you want to find out more about Outdoor Link, tune in to the Smart Parks Forward Show with Dave Ramirez on the second and fourth Mondays at 1:30 on the DPRS network. We're going to see a short promo on Outdoor Link, and we're also going to see one on something near and dear to my heart, JDP Services Management Consulting. So with that, Jovi, take us away. Promise we'll be right back.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly. From lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
All right, we are back. Jovi, why don't we pull up the slide deck and start right out. We got a lot to cover today, so I want to get through this, but this is important stuff. This is a segment of the show where we typically highlight things that are happening with MWRs and quality of life programs around the world from the various services. And here's a joint effort. I want to promote the Warrior Games, which is currently going on. Matter of fact, they kicked off this past Saturday in San Antonio. Annual event, Paralympic style event with over 200, close to 250 wounded, ill, and injured warrior competitors who are competing in, I think, 12 adaptive sports programs over the 8 days that it's going to be down in San Antonio. It is open to the public. It's at the Gonzalez Convention Center down there, I believe, and surrounding areas where the venues that are hosting these competitions. And great chance, so if you are in that Central Texas or Southern Texas area around San Antonio, go in and check it out. Good stuff for sure. Here's some from the some wheelchair basketball, and they had powerlifting early on. We have some things going on here with archery, and they had the bike races from that standpoint. And you will see up here the Prince Henry is up there visiting. He's involved with I believe the Invictus Games, and I think he was in the area. Matter of fact, I think I saw him on the telecast. He was probably at one of the Spurs games this weekend as well. So he's double dipping for events, but great. He was there. He's a supportive of this, and a lot of times the Brits actually send some of their wounded, ill, or injured warriors who participate in the Invictus Games. They'll come in and do some competition with our services as well. So a lot of cool things happening here with the Warrior Games. And then, of course, we've got to talk about the support team. Those are the family members and volunteers who really help to put it on. And it's really cool. I was involved for a little bit with the 2017 games that were in the city of Chicago. Imagine that. McCormick Place, United Center, Soldier Field, major venues where they were hosting all of these events. But I got a chance to meet the people from Fisher House and some of the other local sponsors and supporters who bring in all these family members and caregivers for these warrior athletes. And really, that's a super important thing for them to be cheered on and their family members brought in. And all costs covered to support those families out there. So, got to mention that. That's the beauty of the Warrior Games. And again, going on through Saturday this week down in San Antonio. So, inspiring to say the least. So, if you don't know about the Warrior Games, now you're a little bit smarter. But if you're in the area, stop by and see some great competition. Okay. Been showing this slide the last couple of shows only because there are some major events coming up here starting not necessarily this weekend, but the following weekend and then leading into 4th of July. DOW and all of the services, specifically the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Department or services in the Air Force, are putting on major events over the 4th of July, which just happens to be the 250th anniversary as well. So there's some really cool events coming up. We're going to talk about those as we get through the 4th of July, hoping to get some special event coordinators back up here as well to do the show and maybe talk about how the level of effort it takes to put on these shows, but how rewarding they actually are. Okay, last thing, and we've got a little clip for you, is NASCAR this weekend coming to Naval Base Coronado. Yes, it's a NASCAR event. They literally put a track, a race car track, all the way around the perimeter of the base itself. The track is, let me check the stats here, 3.4 miles long. It is 19 turns total on this thing. Lap time is expected to be somewhere between 2 minutes and 10 seconds or 2 minutes and 15 seconds to do a complete lap. This is not an exhibition. This is real life 4 points NASCAR championship stuff. They've got a typical weekend with the truck races and all the things they typically do, the preliminaries and then the race itself. And of course, they've got a big concert going on in addition. So all happening on the naval base in Coronado in San Diego, California. So awesome stuff. And they did a little mini movie on the right side. You can see the promo for it. It's about 25 minutes. We're not going to show 25 minutes. We're going to show a little 2 to 2.5 to 3 minute clip here of this video, but it just gives you a taste of the excitement of what it's like for NASCAR to come to a Navy base, on a military base at all. This could happen anywhere. Check it out. And if nothing else, it's most of the series is being televised. Prime Video is doing the major races. And I believe Fox Sports 1 and 2 are covering some of the preliminary stuff. So either way, it's going to be a great weekend. So exciting to have that. And if you want to see the full video, which is really nicely done, a lot of fun kind of introducing the NASCAR and tying together with some of the Navy military folks. It's really cool. You can check it out on YouTube. So with that, let's get our guests up because we have some great discussions here with us today. So happy to have them. Stefan Drafahl, Director of Outdoor Recreation at Charleston Air Force Base, and Edith Thompson, Outdoor Recreation Pro for the 628 Force Support Squadron at Joint Base Charleston. That was hard to say. So Edie and Stefan, hey, welcome to On the Front Line.
Thanks, John.
All right. Hey, Stefan, I'm going to ask you. I was trying to get my head around this whole joint base thing. I've been to a few military bases, been to a few joint bases, but still trying to figure out how it operates down there exactly with the Charleston Air Force Base and Joint Base Charleston. Could you give me and maybe our audience a little bit of how the whole base is structured?
Yeah, John. First off, I want to say thanks for having us on and also for singing that promo for us during the NASCAR advertisement. So appreciate that. We are technically Joint Base Charleston. I am the Director of Outdoor Recreation for the Air Force Base. In October 10th, 2010, Charleston became Joint Base Charleston with the Navy base and the Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
There are, during that conglomeration of bases, there was 2 outdoor recreation facilities, one on the Naval base and one on the Air Force Base. I was not a part of that joining of the bases.
Yeah.
And I understand from that the weapons station, they had a director there that is still there currently. And I took over for the Air Force side in 2020. And so we all fall under even the Navy base, the 624th, 628th FSS Squadron. And that is how we operate. It might seem a little bit weird. And another interesting thing, sort of getting on topic a little bit about it, is Edie's position, where she's the head programmer for the base, and we can transition into that if you want to about Edie's position and how she
Yeah,
goes about for both bases.
we'll get into that. So geographically, there's some separation between the Air Force Base and the old Navy base from that standpoint, correct?
Yeah, it's about 7 to 10 miles, about 15 minutes to
Oh,
get
okay.
there.
That makes a little more sense for me. So really, not too different from other joint bases then, from that standpoint. You've got two bases that were close in proximity, and yeah, through base realignment and closure, there's been some bases that have been jointed, so to speak, and then one service or the other kind of take the lead on in terms of base support or installation management type stuff. And obviously, Air Force has the lead for this joint base. So copy on that. So perfect. Hey, want to get into kind of your journey. We always start that with our guests because so many people are fascinated at how we got in the business and some of the places we've all been or just how we fell into the job. So Edie, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your journey to your current position at the Joint Base.
Right. So I did go to college for this. So I do have a degree in recreation, tourism, and sports management. And I also took 2 minors in business and outdoor rec. So I trained a lot on the Appalachia Trail during the summers.
Yeah.
And luckily, I had a professor who actually did this job in Turkey. So she worked with MWR. And since I couldn't join the military because I'm asthmatic, what better way than to, serve? I have a big family that has a lot of military in it. So I wanted to, kind of be purposeful and do something for them in return. So
Time out. Your instructor who did an internship in Turkey, was that at Incirlik Air Force Base?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar. I wouldn't be able to pronounce it. So.
Haven't been to too many overseas bases, but that is one place I have been before. So
yeah, she loved it. So she told me to kind of look into it. And I was born in Charleston because my dad was Navy, but I grew up in Kentucky, and that's where I went to school. So I was like, well, if I have to do an out-of-state internship, then why not, kill 2 birds with 1 stone and come to Charleston, see where I'm from, and then also kind of serve as my my final class, essentially, my internship. And so just to see if it's something that I felt like that's where I belong. And I first did fitness recreation. So I did a lot of the the mock CFTs for the air side and the Navy side. And so just to kind of play around with that stuff. And whenever I graduated, the base offered me a full-time job. I don't know if you're familiar with the Liberty program for the Navy. Yeah, so they put me in that position, and that was really fun. My professor actually came down, and she kind of helped me get that program restarted because the people that had done the job before had quit. The whole joint base kind of was a little too much for all the changes. So, of course, me, being an intern and graduating, they're like, oh, it's fresh meat. So, so we kind of started that up. So it was a lot easier for me, though, because I didn't know, the old ways. But once I started that program, I mean, we did tournaments. I had movie nights. They have a whole facility down there with active duty staff. So it's kind of fun to be able to kind of teach them about outdoor recreation. And that was kind of a different field that I didn't know I was going to be in, running like a game room and, trying to do outdoor recreation plus the, tournaments and, video games, which I'm not very good at. And so that was a lot. And once I kind of got that down, this position had opened up. So I kind of transferred into the Air Force outdoors position. So, but I've done a lot of trips and stuff. So I was already kind of familiar with how to do trips and everything. But that's kind of how I got to where I'm at now. And I really like to focus on the education.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now you actually report to someone who is military in the Air Force, correct?
No, he's our flight chief. And so I support with like a lot of the base programs as well. And so that's kind of who I report to be able to support base programs and other programming within the installation, like the Navy side and then Air Force programming. And we have Short Stay, which is a military, beach resort on the lake. Yeah. And so they're starting to do programs. And so I also help them with, starting to do programs out there with one of their staff. And so I kind of jump around.
So the flight chief is a civilian.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Stefan, tell us about your journey.
Okay. So I was in the military. I was in the Air Force, and I was security forces for you, John, Master at Arms. Same thing, and did base security. And I was in it for 4 years, and I loved the Air Force, but I truly did not enjoy my job. And I knew I wanted to do something different. And my family has worked in government work, and my dad always said, the government will keep on paying you after you are done working. And it's always a good way to incentivize somebody. And so I went to college at Illinois State University, and I chose something as far away from military police as you could possibly get, Parks and Recreation Administration. And I fell in love with it at school. And the same sort of thing as Edie, I had my last semester was an internship, and I applied all over the United States and was lucky enough to get here in Charleston. And I worked with Edie at the beginning as well too. And I just sort of ranked my way up by either somebody quitting or somebody leaving. And then I got to be the director, and have loved every minute of it. And it was initially, I first started, which is a crazy thing, right during COVID. Like, it was right when I started. March 2020, I started. So fun fact for you. But currently now pursuing my master's for public administration through Clemson University.
That's awesome. Continuing education, super important, whether it's a certification program, training kind of any kind, or certainly a graduate program. Always good thing. I think that's our professionals need to take a look at that. Matter of fact, working on a career development type committee between the American Academy for Parks and Recreation Administration, which I'm a part of, and also NRPA, trying to focus on where our next generation of folks are going to come from. As you know, the parks and recreation industry, especially from a college perspective, major, has taken a huge dip. And so, are they college professionals? Do we need to be recruiting from the high school? Can people get in the business and then get their education later? That happens organically right now. So we're talking about where this is all going. So yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother episode, but I'd like to hear that you're furthering your education. That is awesome. So one, thank you for your service. You were in the Air Force. Were you a user of services when you were active duty?
So I was stationed at Seymour Johnson, and we had access, and I went to Fort Fisher, up there in North Carolina. So that was my back then, and I was in it from 2009 to 2013. I didn't use it as much as I should have. Let me put it like that. I was focused on other things at the time, but I did use it occasionally to get away and stuff like that. But as I went to school and everything like that, I knew I wanted to be reconnected, either as, to veterans or active duty personnel. And that's what really drew me in, because I missed that lifestyle and that brotherhood. And I still have access to that currently with my job.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, what motivates you to be in the business of this crazy thing called MWR services, demanding hours, long hours? We work for a bureaucratic system. There's a lot of reasons to say, get me out of here. I don't want anything to do with it, but there's got to be something that motivates. I know there was always something that kept me in the business. What motivates you? Edie, we'll start with you.
The education part of it. I meet a lot of people that they don't want to go outside because they don't know where to start. And just the benefits of mental health and being able to see the benefits of mental health. And I do a lot of studies on that. Being able to get them out comfortable, let them know what the risks are so that they're aware of it and it's not something that scares them away from going outside and creating their own programs. that's kind of my drive, is just the education part of it, because the more education, the more comfortable people are with going out and having confidence in themselves. And I always tell people, like, I love to see you on my trips, but the main part of my trips is I want to see you out there by yourself. And so that's kind of my goal, is to get them comfortable with the area and let them know that, just because you're by yourself, or, there's very few people to go outside with, like, you can still do hard things. And so just the education piece of it. A lot of people think, outdoors, oh, it's just fun stuff. There's a lot to it. And that's why a lot of people don't get out a lot. They don't know the risks. If something happens, they don't know, how do I fix it, or where do I start? And so just the knowledge and passing that knowledge that I've studied onto them gives me a drive to keep doing it. So
Yeah, the outdoor rec pros, I think, do a good job. Obviously, just by the nature of the programs you run, there's a lot of skill building that's going on in education, as you say. You're teaching them to recreate so that they can do this on their own, whenever, wherever, or at least know how to get to the resources if they want to do this again. So that's pretty cool. And we do that in other programs too, but I think outdoor rec, by its nature, probably the leader of skill building, or leisure skills development, so to speak. All right, Stefan, what motivates you?
I think, and we use this on LinkedIn, John, a lot, but serving those who serve. As a former service member, I think it's truly a privilege of mine to provide recreational opportunities at a discounted and affordable rate to anybody that has served or is still serving, to be able to get out there and recreate. And just piggybacking off Edie, like I did a deployment. I think that it is vital for those people to come back and have something to go out and unwind. And part of that is, being a director of outdoor rec is providing those services in a sense of equipment or anything that they need to get them out there and to unwind.
Yeah, no, that's a good mission. I think a good purpose to keep you engaged. I think just the appreciation sometimes when you run those events and programs that you get back, and it really made a difference. You can tell. It can be a stressful job, depending again what their duty is, where they are, what the mission is, what's the op tempo going on. It can be a pretty stressful job, and so participating in one of our programs and then seeing that enjoyment, I know that always, kept me kind of going, and motivated to come back the next day and keep doing it again. So awesome. So tell me about Charleston. You got a joint base, you got two different locations, 7 miles apart. Stefan, I'm going to start with you. Tell me about what you're offering and what you're doing related to outdoor recreation, and then we'll transition to Edie and what she's doing over on her side of the base, and we'll go from there. But Stefan, start us out. Tell me about what's happening in outdoor recreation in Joint Base Charleston.
Yeah, so John, I think our biggest factor, or any outdoor recreation facility, is our geographical. I can't even pronounce it. Geographical, I can't even say it, location. But so we're close to, yeah, there you go, geography, location. But we're close to water. So our biggest outputs for recreational opportunities are typically water-based things like paddleboards, kayaks, boats. And I think we have invested well to provide those opportunities for our patrons, whether that be on the Navy base or on the Air Force base or going up to short stay. So like as a whole, I think Joint Base Charleston gives a viable option for all those opportunities for our patrons to go out and experience those things.
Yeah, you guys, on your rentals, do you guys have pop-up campers and towable trailers and things like that? Do you offer that kind of stuff for people that want to go inland and go camping for the weekend? Give us a feel for your inventory for outdoor rec.
Yeah. So you hit on a hot topic. I have put in since 2023. I've been funded for a NAP capital requirement, $180,000 for campers. That has been approved. I am still waiting for that monetary income to be able to purchase.
So it's been approved, but the funding hasn't come.
Yes, and I've of course heard about it, and
Something never changes.
as you know, snail pace. So yes, I planned for those campers, and we during my first beginning tenure here, we did have those campers for people to take wherever they so choose to take them. We do have a campground as well that I run, and also 2 operational outdoor pools that I run, which is weird. Again, here we go. One on the Air Force Base, and then I run the one on the weapons station as well. And we have a climbing wall.
So aquatics does fall under the umbrella of outdoor recreation for the Air Force?
Yes, as long as it is an outdoor pool. And then, as you know, there is a separate requirement for the Navy if they do want to test physical fitness standards.
Yeah.
So we have to deal with that as well too, because the Air Force, it is purely a recreational pool, where the Navy base has different standards.
Yeah.
So it's fun going between the two.
Interesting. Another episode for another day, right?
And John, saying all this stuff and everything like that, Edie does a fantastic job of using all the materials that we have as a joint base to provide those recreational opportunities from the lowest airman to the highest colonel we have on base. She does a great job of promoting and getting people out there. She's a fantastic programmer, and we couldn't be more proud to have her on Charleston.
Yeah, sounds
Thank
good.
you.
So Edie, what's happening in your location in terms of outdoor rec? What are you guys providing? Obviously, trips, tours. What else? What else are you guys doing?
So trips and tours. I try to keep some stuff local so that the gear that we use can be rented by Outdoor Rec. But I also like doing a lot of the educational pieces too. So kind of taking a step back and, doing learn to surf classes, not in the ocean just yet, because some people still need that time to get over the fear of sharks and what's in the water. Those people, honestly, they're the best surfers though, because you're afraid to get in the water. So,
motivation.
So just doing this, yeah, those are my best customers, the ones that are scared. Doing educational pieces too about, like we do classes on like fossils, so there's a lot of fossils here in the Charleston area because we are one of the deepest waterways because of all of the shipping containers coming in and out. So there's a lot of dredging, and a lot of that dredging gets dumped out on some islands off the coast. So there's a lot of fossils to be found and shark's teeth. And so doing different, trips on finding fossils. What are you looking for? What exactly is it? There's the educational piece of it. And then we also do risks, like what are risks here in Charleston? I tell people all the time, it is not sharks and alligators to be aware of. It is the oyster beds. So that is the most common accident we have, are oyster beds. I could care less about the sharks and alligators. So not only just doing the trips, but doing educational parts of, hey, these are the scary things, and this is what you do should it happen to you. So.
Yeah. Do you actually have a rental center, or just one central one for the joint base?
So Stefan has it's the Air Base Outdoor Recreation that has the rentals. And then, of course, there's rentals on the Navy side as well. And then any trips that I try to do things where they can rent from Outdoor Rec. And so at the end of the trip, I can tell people, hey, if you really liked paddleboarding, this is where you're going to rent it out at. And what's great is I load a lot of things in a trailer. So paddleboards go inside an enclosed trailer. So at the beginning of the trip, not only do they get to do paddleboarding, but I teach them how and things to look out for when loading a trailer. Like, because, people sometimes don't know what a hitch is, what a receiver is, what's a cotter pin. So teaching them certain things like that, and you need to have
life skills.
Yes,
change a tire out there.
Yeah, changing tires. It's happened to all of us. And even like small things, like I know, like I had a receiver come out of the van. Someone had actually stolen the pin, not the cotter pin, but the receiver pin. And so teaching them, hey, these are real life things that you need to look out for, and, keep an eye on stuff like this. And so small things that I guess people wouldn't think to check, is kind of a priority for me to teach. And so, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So when you're taking out a trip, do you guys have like 16 passenger vans? Do you have larger vans? Who drives them, and how does that all work?
Yes. So we do have two 15-passenger vans that we take people out on. I do have a couple coworkers, and if I need help, Stefan, I'm sure that he would throw in a coworker of his to be able to help with trips. But usually I'll just do one van, and of course we always have a second one on standby because you never know what's going to happen to a van. A tree could fall on it. That's happened before.
Yeah.
And so having two is always good in case one fails, but usually just taking a max of 12 to 15. It kind of depends on the trip, but I don't like to go over that just because if I am the only one doing the trip, obviously I have to make sure, the ratio is good. But if it's anything bigger than that, then yeah, I usually work with Outdoor Rec and see if I can get some assistance, or, sometimes we use a volunteer. So we make things work.
Yeah. And you keep it under 15 too in a smaller vehicle. You don't have to worry about CDLs, which can be a tough requirement sometimes with transient staff to have someone with a CDL. So
yeah, a lot of companies too anyways cap things at 12 to 15 anyway. So
yeah, for those type of excursions, I would imagine. So all right, well, we are gonna take a quick break. Jovi's gonna play a promo, but we will be right back, and we're gonna talk more with Edie and Stefan and finish this conversation. Promise.
They say it's Just Rec. Just Rec, where kids learn to try again. Just Rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
This episode is brought to you by SDSU's Sports MBA program. If you're passionate about sports and want to work in the women's sports industry, then this is the time to pay attention. SDSU's program is 12 months accelerated hands-on learning where students have actually gotten to work with teams like the San Diego Mojo, partnered with the Farmers Insurance Open, and visited headquarters like the Upper Deck or Callaway Golf. It's built for people who want to be in rooms like that. So if you're interested, deadlines are approaching. Learn more or apply with the links in the description.
All right, we are back with Edie and Stefan talking Joint Base Charleston, outdoor recreation, learning, teaching life skills, recreational skills, all sorts of good stuff. As you know, I am a board member of NRPA. I've been involved with that organization for over 30 years. Really tremendous organization, not only promoting public parks and recreation, but also a strong contingent with the Armed Forces Recreation Network, which I've been pleased to be a strong partner with for many years. So I was super excited when they worked together to create their new skill builder, which is a new online learning module they've created in various topics. And they created one that was called Serving Those Who Serve 10 Collaborative Ideas. And it was really focused on the MWR type professional, but I think it had more of a twist to those public park and rec agencies who live and work around a military base. And there's plenty of military bases out there, so there's plenty of communities that can connect with one. and how they could really do it. So they went through the 10 ideas, and one of the folks that were featured on that training module was Edie. And I think got a connection through Gilbert Solanas over at your headquarters. Sal's a great guy. We work very closely together with the Armed Forces Recreation Network. Either way, I went through the module as soon as I heard it came out, and I'm like, this is perfect. We've been working on this. We wanted something forever. So I'm going through the module, and then I saw the little video montage. I don't know what best way to state it, where Edie kind of talks through her partnership with the county park. So want to kind of rest there and kind of have you talk about this partnership outside the fence lines in support of your active duty service members who you support. So, Edie, tell us a little bit about this partnership.
Yeah, so specifically with Charleston County, we also help out Goose Creek, which is where the Navy base is located. But we've been with Charleston County Parks and Recreation for probably about 10 years now, honestly. But what we do is they'll have big events for the county, so like Occasion Festival, or recently there was a Wheel to Surf event, which was an adaptive surf for those that are handicapped. And so the county, of course, whenever you get volunteers, they're volunteers, right? They may or may not show up. And so I used to volunteer on my own with the county, and then I realized, wow, like they really need some help and people that are going to show up. And so some of the people from the base, I was like, hey, are you guys willing? Because for the Navy, they get a volunteer ribbon when they hit a certain amount of hours. For the Air Force, it's really good on their package. And so it kind of helped them out as well. And so they were like, yeah, let's, we'll volunteer. But they didn't have a car. And so my previous director before Stefan, she was like, sure, you can take a 15-passenger van, you're helping out the community. And then when Stefan took over, luckily he kind of honored that and was like, sure, go ahead. And so once a month we made it a thing where we would help the county parks and recreation, and in return, if we do trips out to the county parks, they let us in for free. And so there's always benefits to volunteering, but the biggest part of it is the connection. So when you're on a military base, a lot of people get tired of seeing each other's face and they want to get out and not necessarily go downtown and get in trouble and go party and stuff. They just want to be able to get out with like-minded people. And so what better the way than to do a volunteer event with your county parks and rec, where it's a safe environment, they're getting to meet new people, and they're giving back to the community. And for the community to see military coming to support and giving back, it provides like a really good connection for the community plus the military. And so it shows the military, hey, the community is, grateful for you. You're involved. They love seeing the military out there. When we drive up in the government van, I mean, everybody gets excited. I feel like we should just put our hands out the window and just wave, because they're like, the military is here. Yeah.
Rock stars.
Yeah. And so there's been a couple of times where big volunteer groups that were supposed to be there for the county didn't show. And then we pulled up and the county parks was like, oh, thank God they're here. And so it's really important. I try to instill into them, the military volunteers, how important it is to be able to give back to your community, because the community also does a lot for the military as well. And to show that they're helping each other, it's amazing, honestly. When we're doing volunteering for 5Ks, the amount of people running the race to shake some of the military, because they know, you can kind of tell who military is and who isn't. So they know, and they'll shake their hands, and I'll be on the sidelines just making sure, I'm responsible for the military. So I'm like making sure nobody gets hurt, or you'd be surprised. Somebody would trip over air and get hurt and break an arm. So that's my job, is to make sure they're safe. But to be able to see the runners or the people involved in the festivals come up and like shake the military personnel's hands and be like, hey, thank you for volunteering. Like, you guys make this happen. And then seeing the military members' face light up. And a lot of these military members, they're younger. And so they're kind of new to the military thing. They don't know anybody. They're not really sure how to get connected. And to be able to see that almost like it's like a movement with the community is something that lets me know, like, this is something good. Like, we need to keep doing this. And then letting them know, hey, when you get your own car, I want to see you out here. And even during COVID, it was great because obviously, like, I was still, going out and volunteering for some of these, small events that we were allowed to do with the community. But even when I wasn't allowed to do trips at that time, I would go out and volunteer for the county, and I would see some of the military people that have been on my volunteer trips out there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that this is something that they're investing in. And so just the importance of being able to, one, get them in a community, to make them kind of feel like they have more of a purpose than just staying on base all day, and just meeting people. Honestly, like they meet all kinds of people, and so it's great to watch that connection.
Yeah, it's again, it's another life skill. It's introducing them to service, whether it's for county park, public parks and recreation, local YMCA, other non-for-profits, their church, whatever it case be. I mean, at some point in life, and again, you don't think about it when you're really young, but somewhere down the line, that's important. That fills a gap, and I think in everybody to be able to give back and support, and a couple hours to to support, which means a lot to those organizations because they need the volunteers. But I mean, what you're doing individually is not hard, it's not tough, it's really just giving your time, and you're really doing a lot for others. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So how did this all work with Sal connecting you with NRPA? That I'm curious. That's the story I haven't heard. So if you would share.
I honestly can't remember exactly what it was. I'm sure it was an email and then a direct email saying, "Hey."
Okay. So no arm twisting, no obviously nothing eventful that you would even remember. Okay.
I tell him all the time, I'm like, if there's a need, fill me in. Like I honestly do have a passion for this and just the education portion of outdoor recreation. And so anytime there's a need, like that is my purpose. Like I want to be able to take whatever I've learned or what I'm passionate about and help other people see through that perspective so they can see the importance of outdoor recreation and just the wide stance on what it actually means. It's not just going outside. I mean, it's the education point of it. It's also volunteering. It can look like many different things. But yeah, I just tell him all the time, like if there's something that you think that I could specialize in or help with, like just tell me and I'll do it. So that's really kind of what happened. And then he reached out and was like, "Hey, here's an opportunity." And I was like, "All right, let's go."
Well, I told you, and I've mentioned this, Al, I've had quite a few people who have tagged me just because of my involvement with NRPA and said, "Hey, I've been through that skill builder. That was great. And who is that person from Charleston?" I'm like, "Well, I've only talked to her a few times, but now I can say I officially know who you are and we've met." But
You'll
thank
have to come
you.
to Charleston sometime. Let Stefan and I show you around.
Oh, yeah. I'm also a golfer, so you have a few nice golf courses in the area. So I'll bring my clubs as well.
There you go, Stefan.
That's
I'm not
my
a golfer.
that's my outdoor recreation these days. So,
At least you're outside.
yeah, exactly. Got to be outside. Okay, want to talk about this, and we can go in whatever order. It doesn't matter. The craziest, the professional story, craziest situation you've ever run into professionally, because we're recreators, we have weird, wild stories to tell that you can share on a podcast. And then also your proudest moment as a recreation professional. So craziest and proudest moments within there. So anybody want to volunteer to go first and share?
Well, I'll share first. Craziest moment as a recreation professional would probably have to deal with, we have yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
John.
I can. Yeah, I'm
okay.
Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good now. So we have a climbing wall here at Charleston Air Force Base, and I was, I believe, an intern or just started, so I was starting out my career here, and we have a system where there's two two connections because it's an auto belay system. And I was at the desk. All of a sudden, I heard a yell, and the person fell. And it was my first time in a recreational thing where something actually bad happened as well too. And it was crazy because she was about 20 feet up and she was about to go into the Air Force as well. And seeing my director at the time administer first aid and comfort to that person really changed my outlook on like how things can go as well too, and how she took charge of the situation and how she handled that situation. But it's pretty crazy that something so close and in our facility could happen like that, even though we instruct and we, align everything perfectly to safety standards. Something bad can still happen. So that was
Yeah. So from your standpoint, it was an auto belay,
it is an auto belay system, yes.
and she fell.
So
So the
yes.
hydraulics in the auto belay went bad.
So she did not hook herself up properly. After our process with our climbing walls, we showed them 3 different times. We showed them how to hook in and hook out with the correct harness and everything to that extent. And they signed a waiver. And she was probably 18, 19 years old. And she got to the top and fell down. So
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And if it's not the auto belay, how did she get unhooked? But that's
I'm
another
guessing,
story.
that was 9 years ago. I can't remember explicitly
Yeah.
how it happened, but yeah.
But the point being, anything can happen at any time, and you got to
Correct.
be ready. And although that's a crazy moment you don't wish for, it's a lesson learned, and it frames your mind for future programs to say, "Hey, I need a contingency at all times."
Correct, because that was a time of, hey, we're running to get ice, we're doing all this other stuff, we're trying to stabilize her and get everything correct, and it was just, hey, this is real world, this is really happening.
Yeah, believe it or not, I owned a rock wall, my wife and I, for 2 years. So collateral duty all summer for 2 summers, we ran around festivals with this mobile climbing wall. This is when they were not even popular; they were just coming out, and that was the craziest experience. And I could tell you hundreds of stories with that. But after 2 years, I'm like, that's enough. We're done.
We had a mobile rock wall here too, and I was done with it as well too.
Yeah. Fun, popular for sure.
It
but
is.
Oh well. All right. We'll circle back on your proudest moment. Edie, craziest professional moment, craziest anything. Could be funny. It could be a situation like Stefan explained where it was an accident and he learned from it. So what's your craziest professional moment?
I would have to say a river rafting trip that we did in Tennessee. We did an overnight, and so there was 2 river guides that were medical staff, and then of course I'm a woofer, and so they kind of used me as another one on the team. And about 2 to 3 a.m., all of a sudden it started pouring rain, and so of course the river rose quite quickly, and so the guides were screaming, "Pack your stuff!" And so me and a couple guides were having to get about 15 to 20 active duty members loaded in duckies, not even the big rafts. They were the single kayak duckies, and got 20 people out on the river at 2:30, 3 a.m. At this point, technically people aren't supposed to be on the river, but this was our only safe route in. And so we had headlamps and everything. And the adrenaline rush was wild, but everybody listened very well. We had a lot of different talks, like throughout the rafting, like, should this happen? This is what we do. We stay calm. Never thought that was something we we're going to be doing. And so we, anytime we had like a dip going down, we would, some of us raft guides that were medically inclined would stand off to the side ready for something to happen, and would just assume, you always assume something will happen so that you're ready for it and your adrenaline doesn't make you, stop in shock. And luckily, all 20 people got into the main area safely. They already had other guides and the owner that was waiting at the takeout point for us. And so, of course, you got to think all these duckies coming in quickly. They had to have a lot of hands to start grabbing. And so we ended up getting off the water safely, but there was only one road to get to where we were staying, and that road flooded. So we couldn't get out the next day. So I actually had to call the base and was like, here's a list of names of the people I have. We cannot leave. And so it took another day. So luckily the company was like, we're not going to charge you guys. So it took us another day to stay there until the water receded for us to be able to take the road out.
Trip planning 101, as we call it in the Navy, the CDO, the command duty officer, have that number at all times. So you can keep the command informed if you have an issue. So wow, that's crazy. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. Stefan, we're going to come back to you. Proudest moment, and then we'll finish up with Edie and her proudest moment.
Honestly, seeing, it's going to be a pretty cookie cut answer, but honestly, seeing my employees succeed, whether that's leaving the outdoor recreation center and going on to bigger and better things, or a lifeguard, getting her doctrine and keeping me in the loop and saying, hey, thanks for all you've done. I really appreciate it. And I just want to let you know I got accepted into a doctoral program and stuff like that. So seeing my employees and as a supervisor, seeing them improve and in life as well too, and become adults is a huge thing for me, and I love seeing it.
Definitely a sign of a good leader. So Edie, how about you? Proudest moment professionally?
Seeing people coming to Outdoor Rec to rent out their own gear. I'm like, yeah, they're confident enough to take their own stuff out. Or even seeing them out whenever I'm out paddleboarding or, surfing and I see them out too. Obviously I can recognize the rentals. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you guys are out. So that's always going to be my proudest moment, is to watch them learn how to do something and then go do it themselves.
That is awesome.
Hey, John, I have one more thing. For anybody that is listening to this, John Prue is an excellent source of information. I did not know John Prue, and I reached out to him for information and career advice, and he was kind enough to give it to me. So special shout out to John. Thank you for all you do for the recreational community. We appreciate you.
Awesome. I want to see people succeed too. And I've had the good fortune of having a lot of mentors in my career. So the least I can do is give back. So for anybody out there, reach out. I'm happy to give you bad information. All right. I want to thank our guests today, Stefan and Edie. Just awesome. And thank you for what you do and being on the front line with this show, the 24th episode. So thank you so much. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, with another great episode. So on behalf of all of us at DPRS Media and On the Front Line, the Military Rec Show, I'm John Prue, and we're out here.
Technology isn't just changing devices, it's changing communities. It's changing how we connect, how we lead, and how we create experiences that bring people together. Because today's parks and recreation industry isn't only about fields, facilities, and programs. It's about innovation, smart systems, digital experiences, and the people transforming ideas into impact. Behind every thriving community, there are leaders embracing change. As technology evolves, parks and recreation professionals are discovering new ways to create safer spaces, stronger connections, and better experiences for everyone. This is where conversations meet innovation, where ideas become action, where parks and technology come together. Welcome to Parks and Tech Collective, streaming on DPRS Media Network.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. Decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom-branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.